Welcome to Going Live, the Jakarta release. On today's show, we're going to find out about all the new and exciting updates coming from ServiceNow. So grab a drink, settle back, and let's start the show. Hello everybody and welcome to Going Live, the Jakarta release. I'm Brian Lau and I'm going to be your host for today's show. But please do not adjust your audio, I am actually English. So English or not, Jakarta is way too big a launch for me to handle on my own. So please welcome Shane Jackson. Hey Shane, how are you doing?
I'm doing good, Brian. How are you?
I'm very good, thanks for joining us. Shane, Jakarta's now available, I understand, and it's something really special.
You understand correctly. So Jakarta is available, and we've really packed a lot of great content into this release. We've built capabilities into the ServiceNow system of action that are going to help our customers work at light speed and really find smarter, faster ways to get their work done.
Oh, that sounds excellent. And we've got online experts available right now to answer any questions you may have. So if you've got any questions, use the window and they'll answer them right away. So Shane, what can we expect to see today?
So we're going to see 7 new applications and over 30 enhancements that we've made in Jakarta. There literally is something for everyone, so pay close attention to each segment as we go along. We won't be able to get to everything that we've done, but we will show demos of the applications that are new on the platform.
Fantastic. And what are some of the key themes we're going to be seeing on the show today?
Yeah, there's 3. The first is around user experience and performance, so some great enhancements the platform team has made there. Big focus on IT, specifically around cloud management and software asset management, where we're really bringing a level of intelligence to the platform and to IT capabilities that we haven't had before. And then the third is around expanding the ability for customer service leaders, HR leaders, and security leaders to use ServiceNow to solve their challenges.
Excellent. So speed, user experience, and innovation on the platform. Shane, where should we start?
We should probably start on the Now platform. It's the foundation of where we really orchestrate work and enable businesses to move faster. So that'd be a great place to go.
Sounds great. Let's go over to the Now platform team to find out some more.
Hello, I'm Robert Duffner, and I'm joined today by Brian Holdsworth. We're part of the Now Platform product team here at ServiceNow. We have some really cool and exciting features that are coming out in the Now Platform as part of the Jakarta release. But the big one is Intelligent Automation Engine, which we announced at Knowledge 17. So it's going to drive new capabilities across all of our cloud services: IT, security operations, customer service, HR, and business applications developed on the Now Platform. So intelligent automation is going to give us a lot of capability, but we wanted to provide concrete value to our customers right away. So we're really focusing on 4 important areas: keeping bad things from happening by preventing future issues, predicting when and how you can reach specific performance levels, knowing how your business metrics compare to your peers, and finally, categorizing and routing work automatically and accurately.
You're going to hear more about these capabilities throughout this webcast. And all of these are actually shipping within Jakarta except for the categorizing and routing of work. That's coming in a future release.
Okay, so let's take a look at 3 areas that we focused on for the Jakarta release. The first one's improved performance. What can you tell us about that?
So, with each new release, we focus in on improving reliability, performance, and the availability of the platform. But in Jakarta, we specifically focused on 2 areas. One is to dramatically improve the end user experience in the way that we render forms and lists. So you're probably wondering, well, what does that really mean? Basically, it's how fast pages load within the browser. And so we've made it all the elements load in the browser a little bit faster, and the bottom line is those pages will improve the experience for the end user. The second thing we did is we significantly reduced the time it takes to install a patch. So while the instance is always available during upgrades, it's now about 20 minutes to get the patch actually installed, so much faster than before. And so we'll continue to improve performance and reliability and availability as we do with every release going forward.
Okay, so that rounds out our first category, improved performance. Let's have a closer look at the Guided Tour Designer. From my understanding, I hear that the Guided Tour Designer can actually help reduce the learning curve in learning ServiceNow applications.
That's right. Guided Tour Designer is actually designed for the instance administrator who wants to help educate their users, or a developer who's creating a new app to actually provide that customizable guided tour along with their application. And the tour can be created across multiple elements across the platform, multiple pages, or actually multiple points of guidance within one particular page. And then you can save that tour and assign it to specific roles that you might want to have run that tour. So let me show you actually what a tour looks like. Here I put a tour onto the standard incident form. Literally, to take the tour, you click the tour from the embedded help button. And the first thing it tells you is it's giving you some guidance to tell you this is just a standard incident number that's automatically generated, nothing for you to do. Then it gives you some helpful information like, choose from the drop-down field on the category, or the actual impact, or what's your preferred contact method. And then you can, of course, add in your short description, like my phone is broken. And then you can take that on to the next area. And it's something like if you have an actual picture you might want to assign or attach to this. And then at the very end, it says just go ahead and click for submit, and somebody will contact you from support based on your preferred contact method. And that's it. Just kind of gives you a guided tour around the page.
So that's pretty cool. How easy is it to create a tour?
Oh, it's super simple. You can start with creating a tour and choosing a name for your tour. Start here. We'll put in Brian's tour. You choose the page. I'm going to choose incident. And I'm going to go ahead and assign that to, let's say, the standard ITIL role. So anybody with the ITIL role can see this when they go to embedded help. And here I am on the incident form, and I can start by literally dragging out an element, and it says enter your instruction search. So you enter something here, drag that out to the element. Let's choose one that actually fits. And you enter here, enter the guidance here, and you would have as simple as that. And let's say you want to move things around, you can just drag and drop and move the elements around on the field. And that's it. You have a tour on a page.
Very cool. Okay, so that rounds out the guided tour designer. Last but not least, let's talk about the brand new Instant Security Dashboard. What does it do and who's it for?
So the Instant Security Dashboard is for an instance administrator or somebody in the security team inside of our customer's IT department. And it's really a central location to configure your recommended security settings, to check your overall compliance with our security best practices information, and to manage the overall health of your instance. So let's take a look at the dashboard, and I'll show you exactly what it looks like. So from here, you can see that you have these four main sections on the dashboard. You have security alerts, and this is things that might be important you want to look at today. Direct links to security resources like our best practice hardening documentation or security wiki. And then over here on the left, you have these sections where actually take you to the individual areas like access control, or it can take you to, let's say, session management. And something like security best practices, where you might want to click into these areas and say, yep, I'm going to mark that as complete. I'm going to mark this section as complete. And then you notice that your overall compliance goes up. And when you go back to the dashboard homepage, you can see that your overall compliance is then raised. It's as simple as that.
Okay, so in summary, here are the new features in the Jakarta release for the Now platform. We talked about improved performance, faster form loads, faster list loads, a guided tour designer that allows you to create customizable tours, and an instant security dashboard that gives you visibility into your instance security.
So Shane, some really exciting new capabilities coming with the Now platform.
Absolutely. And again, all those things are available to everyone that uses the product. In fact, if you want to go deeper on Intelligent Automation Engine, I'd encourage everyone to go look for the Day One keynote from Knowledge. There, our Chief Strategy Officer, Dave Wright, goes deep into the Intelligent Automation Engine and talks about how we're bringing machine learning to everyday work.
Right, and that leads us nicely into our next topic, which is the innovations in IT with the Jakarta release.
That's right. There's important aspects of the product are directly related to the Intelligent Automation Engine.
Now, of course, intelligent automation being part of the Now platform, that can be used by other products in different ways.
Yes, across the entire platform, but specifically for IT, there's three things to look for in the next demo. One is around benchmarks, which is a capability we introduced in the Istanbul release that we've expanded out in Jakarta. Another is around IT operations management, where we have predictive alerts so you can prevent service outages. And then the third is around our performance analytics capabilities, where we're able to not only measure how you're doing against certain KPIs, but with advanced forecasting, figure out when you're actually going to get to the target.
Sounds fantastic. Let's now go over to our IT team to find out what's new with our IT products. And don't forget, there are experts online right now ready to answer your questions.
Hi everyone, I'm Kevin Murray. I look after IT product marketing here at ServiceNow. Now this next section is going to be a little bit different. We're going to focus on IT in Jakarta. Now we're going to focus on 5 domains in IT. But before we do that, I wanted to take you through the 3 focus areas that we focused on for IT in Jakarta. First, we really wanted to improve the user experience, not just for the requester, but for the fulfiller in IT. So you'll see that come through. Next, we are using something called the Intelligent Automation Engine to try and be more predictive and proactive than ever before, so you can get ahead of service outages or any future issues. Next, we were able to really deliver on efficiency to help deliver those game-changing economics that you're looking for and provide that transparency to the business. So what you'll see from us now is we'll take each domain one at a time, and we'll have a guest speaker for each. They'll come up and demo the new capabilities for each of these areas. So strap in, here we go. All right, let's get right into IT service management. With me is Jason Aloya. Jason, thanks for joining me today.
Thanks for having me, Kevin.
All right, so who do we typically talk to when we're talking about IT service management out there?
Well, typically, the main 2 categories of people we're talking about are our service owners or executives, and the other category is our service practitioners, the people that spend all day in ServiceNow getting work done.
Okay, make big decisions and do stuff better every day.
That's right.
All right, so these folks have challenges. What do you typically run into out there?
Well, the challenges that we're focusing on in Jakarta are executives and service owners. They want increased visibility into how well they're performing against their peers. Our service practitioners want help meeting service level commitments. And all of our customers want help reducing the cost of implementation and upgrades.
Okay, so compare performance against peers, do better on the service level agreement thing, and really get to value quickly, right?
That's it.
Okay, so we're going to dive right into Jakarta, and what you're able to show us now is what we've done specifically in Jakarta to meet those 3 challenges, right?
That's right. So for our executives and service owners, we have increased our investment in benchmarks. And what benchmarks is real simple application that allows you to compare your KPI performance to that of the aggregate ServiceNow customer base. In Jakarta, we have also introduced the tile view, which makes it easy to visualize trended performance on any device. And we've introduced 10 additional KPIs for problem and change management, as well as some for CMDB health.
That's cool. So what everybody may not know is we introduced benchmarks in Istanbul, but now in Jakarta we expanded the KPIs and made it just much easier to really manage whether you're an executive or a practitioner, right?
That's right.
Okay, awesome. What's next?
The next feature is the SLA timeline. Our service practitioners, of course, live and die by the SLA commitments that they make, but it has been traditionally sometimes pretty cumbersome and challenging to deduce exactly what might have impacted or negatively impacted an SLA. So with the Jakarta release, the SLA timeline allows me to visualize all of the SLAs that are attached to a particular task. And as you can see here, we have a number of SLAs that have breached, as indicated by red. And all I have to do is glance at this to recognize that, well, the problem is the fact that this task spent 2 hours as a priority 3. Now I have the info I need just by looking at this timeline to go make some corrective adjustments to my processes to avoid this problem in the future.
And ordinarily this is done in each of the SLAs themselves, right? Like you don't get this aggregated view like this. That's what's new, right?
That is what's new. Just an opportunity to visualize this data in an appealing way that just makes sense.
Okay, cool. All right, so we're making it easier for our practitioners to meet SLAs in Jakarta.
That's
So
right.
what about this third challenge?
The third challenge is all of our customers want to save time and investment in implementations and upgrades. And so what we've done with Jakarta is we have adopted all of these proven practices from the thousands of successful implementations that our customers, partners, and service organization have done. We've published those proven practices here within Guided Setup, and customers can navigate these proven practices, learn about them, and implement them right here in product. Guided Setup is just a fantastic way for customers and partners alike to accelerate time to value and ensure successful implementations, upgrades, and the adoption of capabilities.
Got it. So we've essentially provided these as presets instead of starting from scratch every time they want to implement a new capability or
Absolutely.
set it up completely new. We've provided these as practices so that they can really just kind of look at what we advise and then just kind of toggle through and get to value quickly.
That's exactly right.
Okay, can you just take us home and summarize
Sure.
what we've seen?
We'll wrap it up. So to summarize, we've continued our investment in benchmarks to continue to drive continuous service improvement. We've introduced the SLA timeline to attain higher service level. And finally, with proven practices in Guided Setup, we're helping customers realize value more quickly and also put them on a path to successful upgrades and feature adoptions.
All right, with me now is Mike Nappy. We're going to talk about IT operations management. Thanks for being here, Mike.
Absolutely, Kevin. Good to see you.
Good to see you, man. Okay, so who do we typically talk to when we're talking to the IT operations folks? What are the titles out there?
Well, typically ITOM is VP of Operations or VP of Infrastructure.
Pretty senior folks, huh?
Absolutely. But anybody in IT is going to be interested in what we have to show today.
Okay, so these operations teams are looking to kind of get out of the war room and maybe get ahead. So what are their typical challenges besides that?
Absolutely. So they have a lot of challenges, but we're going to cover 3 today. You've heard me say a lot of times you can't manage what you don't know about. Well, what's happened is more workloads have moved out into the cloud, in particular the public cloud. IT has really lost visibility into those things. They've crossed into the firewall. So this lack of visibility of cloud-based workloads is a problem.
When you say workloads, you're talking about just like an application, right?
Yeah, these are really just computer-based services being delivered by a variety of different means.
Okay, cool. Next.
Another big issue, it's an ongoing issue really, is preventing service outages. I mean, really a service outage is the worst case scenario, right? And it's been challenging in the last several years as the complexity has gone up astronomically, right? With the cloud, with explosion of devices, IoT, you name it. So really keeping service outages to a minimal or zero in this complex world is very difficult.
So get ahead and keep the blood pressure down.
That's right,
Okay,
absolutely.
what's next?
And thirdly, what we've seen again with the rise of cloud is this ability for development to be more productive than ever before, right? With DevOps, continuous integration, developers can push new code into production faster than ever before. And this is great from an agility standpoint. It's not so great if you're an IT user and you need to actually manage this stuff, understand costs and compliance.
Gotcha. Okay. So we've done a ton in Jakarta specifically around these, VP of IT operations, but also we're seeing kind of the DevOps thing come in as well. Why don't you take us through what we've done?
Yeah, absolutely. Happy to. Okay, so what you're looking at here is probably familiar to those of you using service mapping out there. This is the ServiceNow Service Health Dashboard, and what you're seeing is really kind of the holy grail. These are the services that IT is providing to the business, and you're seeing them red, green, yellow based on their relative health. And what we're going to do here is just click underneath this trading service and see the actual service map itself. Now, what's cool about this map is we can actually visualize for the first time resources that are provided into the service from the cloud, right? In the past, this was relatively opaque. Here you can see resources, in this case in Azure, as just another part of the map.
Okay, so instead of just the on-premises infrastructure, even VMs, you can actually see that as well as the stuff outside in the public cloud represented in a single service map now.
That's right. And remember, our goal is to render everything in the context of the services being delivered to the business. So this just allows us to do it independent of how the service is actually hosted.
Ah, very cool. Okay, what's next?
All right, so the next big thing, we're looking here at the event management product, and in particular, the Alerts console. We've got 2 really killer features that we're introducing in Jakarta. The first one is something that we're calling operational intelligence. And really what it is it's the ability to detect anomalies in the enterprise data center, the hybrid data center, and bubble those up as alerts. And in this case, what we're seeing is an anomaly that's been detected on this trade server, and it says there's too many worker threads. There's another anomaly that's come through operational intelligence that says we're running high on CPU utilization. Now, this introduces the second big innovation that we're introducing in Jakarta, which is predictive alerting. So we'll take these two data points that we've got, these two anomalies, and using machine learning, we can extrapolate out and we can predict that shortly there will be a service degradation due to too many requests on this machine.
Oh, that's killer. So that is actually preventing the outage from happening instead of, waiting for it to actually go down and then scrambling to get it back up, right?
That's right. You've given IT some runway to go intercept this problem before it actually creates an impact.
So this is big. This is part of the intelligent automation engine where we start to combine different technologies and machine learning to actually be proactive in preventing these things.
Absolutely. And ITOM is going to benefit from intelligent automation as much as anybody, if not more.
Awesome.
Great.
Okay, let's keep going.
All right, so thirdly, what you're seeing here is the new cloud user portal. So as a cloud user in the enterprise, I can see at a glance my spend in various clouds. I can detect utilization versus the quota I have. I can see recent stacks that I've spooled up. And if I want to, I can drill into a new dashboard and I can see a breakdown of cost by resource type. I can slice and dice by provider and so on. So now I can make informed decisions around how I'm using the cloud across the enterprise. But the other key thing in cloud management for Jakarta is, remember we talked about how it's kind of the wild, wild west with developers out there. Everybody's deploying stuff into the cloud in a variety of different ways. Well, what we're introducing in Jakarta is the ability to actually, as a cloud administrator, I can model how I want the cloud to be consumed through something called blueprints. And these blueprints can be automatically deployed to the ServiceNow service catalog. And now as a developer, I can walk up to this, I can find the resource offering that I need, and I can self-service select it, have it be approved on the back end and provisioned automatically.
This is awesome. So instead of just focusing on the dev, the provisioning side, we're focused on the ops side, because what you can do is manage these just like an operations team really wants to do, is make sure these things are up and running for these people, right?
That's right. We're not holding dev back, we're actually accelerating dev by giving them reusability. And at the same time, IT is getting visibility into all these workloads going into the cloud.
That's tremendous. Okay, just take us home. Summarize what we've seen here today.
Sure. So what we've seen is we've expanded our service mapping capabilities, so we can now map details around resources that are hosted in the cloud. We've greatly extended our ability around service availability by allowing predictive alerting capabilities using machine learning. And then finally, we've made it possible to deliver new workloads into the cloud in a much more predictable, consistent, and efficient manner using cloud management.
Okay, now we're switching gears to IT business management. We're going to try to elevate the conversation a little bit. So with me now is Kevin Nanny. Thanks for being with me, Kevin.
Thanks for having me, Kev.
All right, so let's talk a little bit about who we're talking to when we talk about IT business management.
Sure, so IT business management is made up of a suite of applications. So the first is IT financial management, where we're focused on typically the VP of IT finance. The second piece of this is project portfolio management, which we're focused on the office of the PMO or the project owners. And then the other piece is application rationalization or application portfolio management, which we're typically talking to the enterprise architects.
Okay, historically these groups do not talk together a lot, so it sounds like we've got an opportunity to kind of bring these groups together.
We do,
So
yep.
what are their typical challenges? What do they run into daily?
Yeah, so that's a good question. One of the biggest challenges is just the communication of finances between the business unit and IT. So typically it's called showback or chargeback, but that proof or that evidence of what's being spent or what's being used between the two groups.
Okay, yep.
And then the other challenge that we see a lot is just visibility into the work that's being done inside and outside of IT. How can we slice that work up differently by business units or by people? And then the last challenge we're going to talk about is, we talk about application rationalization. Application sprawl is a big problem. What are some more evident points that we can use to better make decisions on where to invest or replace applications?
Okay, awesome. So one of the great things about what we do with IT business management is we not only help these groups collaborate, but we also help present a unified story to the CIO, right?
That's right.
Those people are really concerned about these groups working together, right?
That's correct.
Okay, so let's show everybody what we're doing in Jakarta to kind of make this happen.
Okay. So the first thing I want to show is the service portal that we've developed in IT financial management. So what you're looking at is you're looking at your services that we provide on the left, and on the right, I can start to show cost or prices against those services. And I can even drill down and start to show by business unit. For example, here I'm looking at my spend on tablets by business unit, my spend on consumables by business unit, the evidence that we're looking for why we price and why things cost what they do.
Okay, so even if you don't want to really charge a business unit, the showback piece is just give them the visibility so they may change their behavior.
Yeah, it just promotes communication between IT and the business. And then, on that theme of transparency and the relationship between the business unit and IT, same thing with work. How can we give visibility into the work that's being done by business unit or by people? Here, I can look at all my projects. I can come in here and look at things that are over budget, under budget. I can look at my high risk projects. I can dive into here and see what's going on by business unit or by people that own them.
Now we're not just looking at the financial implications, but helping IT manage the labor more effectively.
That's right.
And how can we help them be more efficient in this side?
One area is we built the worker portal. And so what we've done with this worker portal is we've brought in all work, planned and unplanned, into the same portal. And I can easily add to my time card or to my timesheet if I'm adding a new one or bringing it in from the week before. And if you can see here, I can edit on this page versus in the past I had to dive into a record and come back and then update the timesheet from there. So we've made this incredibly easier to use.
So no more back and forth.
No
just
more back
all
and
on one
forth.
page. Great. Okay.
And then, along those lines of, promoting the business and making those decisions easier, we launched Application Portfolio in Release I. And, here you're trying to get to this roadmap where you're making investment decisions or replacement decisions against those applications that you have running your business. One thing that we need to do was build a business capability map to help strengthen those decisions. So what you're doing here is you're looking at your business processes that are running your business and you're scoring them, looking at the gaps that they might have, minor gaps, major gaps, normal gaps, and seeing where there might be areas for you to strengthen that decision on where you're replacing or investing in other software.
So I might see business processes that are so far gone that I'm not going to waste any time or resources investing them.
That's right. The gaps are too big.
I see.
Just replace it.
So it's just more information to make a better decision on application rationalization, and everything you've shown up to this point kind of feeds off each other, right? You've
That's
got
right.
the financial transparency, the labor insight, and the ability to make good decisions on applications.
That's right.
Awesome. Okay, take us on. I think I just summarized what we did, but why don't you take us through the capabilities that you showed us that address those three big areas?
You did. So the first thing we talked about was transparency. We talked about costs, showback, and chargeback. So building that relationship, the proof or the evidence you need between IT and the business. And the second thing was insight, giving visibility into that work that's being done, whether it's planned or unplanned, which is the difference that ServiceNow can provide. And then alignment, optimizing those processes, those decisions you make on where to spend your money. And now we're giving you more capabilities and more ammunition to make those decisions.
Okay, I'm thrilled to be talking about software asset management. It's a new application in Jakarta, and with me to help me do that is Colby Blakeman. Thanks for being here, Colby.
Thanks for having me, Kevin.
All right, so everybody gets kind of how these are going. Let's talk about who we need to talk to when we're talking about software asset management.
Absolutely. So today for software asset management, we're going to be speaking directly to the asset managers and software asset managers out there. But we're also going to be arming them to have those strategic conversations with the CIOs and VPs of IT finance, the conversation they've been asking to have around the software estate.
Very cool. So the asset managers are equipped to actually have those conversations now.
Exactly.
Okay, so what are the typical challenges that these software asset managers are seeing kind of every day?
Sure. So to no surprise, the first one is audits. Organizations get hit with that audit letter and they're constantly asking themselves, well, what is our license position? How many licenses do we own? Are we using those? And the reality is that they don't have that readily available. So in addition to that, and often at the same time, there's a drive internally within organizations to drive down the year-over-year software spend.
So that could be a percentage or it could be a flat rate, but just kind of drive the cost down, right?
Exactly. And then finally, in order to kind of achieve those ends, organizations are given multiple tools to manage different aspects of the software asset lifecycle. But often that leads to having to create really expensive integrations and to maintain those integrations integrations over time, or even worse, manually manipulate that data.
So there's a different tool for discovery, there's a different tool for truing up or something like that, right?
Exactly.
Okay, let's dive right in. I'm excited to see this in Jakarta, so let's see what you have.
So first and foremost, we really want to give customers visibility into their current license position. So immediately when you come to software asset management, you can quickly identify how many products are out of compliance and what that overall true-up cost is going to be to get those 5 publishers back into compliance. Because we're leveraging on the ServiceNow platform, Performance Analytics, we can quickly get to a license position for a particular publisher. If we're hit with an audit letter, we need to do that true up for that particular software publisher, in this case, Microsoft.
Oh, very cool. So you said powered by Performance Analytics, so it's all the data that's within the ServiceNow platform that you're using to get to this number, right?
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
awesome. Very cool, very easy to read. You can see it by publisher. You can filter it based on, different publishers and different types of software, right?
Yep, exactly.
Okay, cool. What's next?
Remediating compliance isn't always about buying more. And so for that purpose, we can actually bring usage information into ServiceNow and identify the potential savings of unused software so that we can really use that information to offset the true-up cost that we would need to purchase rights in our organization. So we can view that information in multiple ways here. Through this really easy dashboard, we can understand what's our current potential savings, what's the savings that we've already realized this year by reclaiming unused software and reallocating or reassigning those rights elsewhere in the organization.
It's awesome. It's like getting a rebate, being able to just kind of come to the leadership team and say, not only did we save, but here's all this unused or reclaimed licenses that can be used somewhere else in the organization.
Great
right?
metaphor.
It's awesome. Okay.
And so finally, if you want to really automate this work, right? So traditionally, these are manual processes. Someone has to go out to another tool or to a particular device and actually uninstall this software. Well, not with ServiceNow. Because we have workflow capabilities, we can automate a lot of this work to get the approvals, to notify users, and actually uninstall the software from the end user device so that we can automatically harvest those licenses so that they're available for the rest of the organization.
So the advantage here is really just doing everything in the ServiceNow platform. All the tasks that you need to do associated with these things are traditionally separate. You're capitalizing on the analytics and the automation capabilities in this one unified environment, right?
Exactly.
Okay, very cool. So it sounds like we've got a summary coming.
Exactly. Yep. So with Jakarta, we've really honed in and given visibility to our customers into their current license positions while simultaneously showing them how they can optimize their current license position by reclaiming unused software, all on a single system of action so that the software asset management is natively integrated into ITSM, ITOM, ITBM, security, and the rest of the ServiceNow solution.
So for example, if you're a discovery customer, you can take advantage of software asset management more easily because you've already got discovery running in your environment, right?
Exactly.
Okay, and rounding out our IT section, we're going to be talking about performance analytics. So with me is Eric Muller. Eric, thanks for joining me.
Hey, good to be here, Kevin.
All right, so the great thing about performance analytics is that it is kind of applicable to everyone and in some cases applicable to no one. So what I'd love for you to do is let's talk about who it is applicable to. Who should be listening to this?
Exactly. We actually think the performance analytics message is relevant for everyone in the audience. People are coming to the ServiceNow platform to transform their businesses. And to do that in a wise and smart way, you need the data and you need views into it. And so that's what performance analytics delivers.
Okay, so it is a floor wax and a dessert topping, right? You can use it for everything. Okay, so let's really hone in on the challenges around analytics because they can be pretty scary, but why don't you walk us through it?
Yeah, we'll pick up on 3 classic problem areas and what we're doing in Jakarta to improve on those. I would say generally the first one is just getting to the right data. Customers have been conditioned to sort of struggle with that. Data has been moved off platform and stuff gets quickly complex and convoluted and sort of transformed and confusing. When you're doing it in platform, you don't have that problem. Even when you get to the data though, then it can be overwhelming. So what do I make of this? What are the important trends? How should I use it? So that's a second problem area. And the third one is, even if I got the right data and I'm sort of making sense of it, is it just a retroactive thing? Is this what happened last quarter? Or is it something I can make use of and make decisions on? So those are the 3 areas.
Yeah, really straightforward. Do I have the data? Once I get it, I get overwhelmed, and then what do I do with it? It's very straightforward. So why don't we dive right in, see what we're doing in Jakarta to help alleviate some of these big challenges.
On that first question of getting to the right data, you'll recognize here a pretty standard chart. What's new is in the green box on the right-hand side. So a trend line that's showing a historic pattern of what's going on, in this case with open incidents, or problems in fact. What's different though is that we can now forecast in a more sophisticated way. What we're doing is using some of the technology that was developed in the IT operations space is to say, let's curve fit the historic trend with several different algorithms. Let's pick up cyclicality, so if there's a weekly trend, we can pick that up, and therefore extrapolate in a way that gives you more confidence that you know what's going to happen and can start to be preemptive about it.
That's great. We were talking to Mike earlier, and he was putting this in the context of predictive analytics and preventing service outages.
Yep.
So we're using that here, so it's all kind of the same technology being used to predict outcomes, right?
Yeah, exactly. Customers who are working with ServiceNow at scale typically are very appreciative of the data, but they're often saying to us, we want you to actually recommend what do we do next, jump to the punchline of how do I use this data and how do I drive my business better. So this is one step in that direction.
Oh, very cool. Okay, so what's next?
So another area was, maybe I've got the data, but I'm still a little intimidated. A lot of what we do with performance analytics in platform is to make that intimidation factor just go away. The right data should be under your fingertips and basically surfacing in logical, intuitive places. The step forward in Jakarta is to say, even if you want to blend external data, so in the example you see here that someone took some net promoter scores and wanted to just overlay that right on top of a standard dashboard that's in the platform, that can be achieved with just a few clicks. I mean, we've just made it a lot easier in terms of the user interface to make that happen quickly and easily.
That's a big deal. So pulling in external data and overlaying it on the data you have seems hard anywhere else, and it seems pretty easy the way you just described it.
Should be, right. That's definitely the design goal.
Okay, all right. What's next?
The third one we talked about was, how do I take action on this? And so, again, one of the big advantages of built-in analytics is that you're sitting on top of the live data. We try to keep the analytics as close to where the data is generated and where decisions have to happen. And so what you see here, again, for those familiar with the product, you'll recognize what we call an interactive analysis. There's a filter screen on the right, and that lets you select or deselect different categories of data. You can stack and sort the bar charts. You got a heat map here, which if you drill through, you can get to ultimately the root cause. What's new in Jakarta is any list view in the platform with a simple right click, you're put into this type of visual exploration mode, which is just a big break. The threshold to get into this is almost zero.
Ah, that's great. So I'm working on something, I can actually look at this type of display of the data and take action on it immediately, which is the way most people work, is within that task instead of some separate window into separate analytics, right?
Right, exactly. And people have sort of the war stories of asking some third-party data solution, and then it's a month later, and life has moved on, right? So it should be very rapid and intuitive. So we think we've delivered that for Jakarta.
Very cool. Okay, can you summarize for us?
Yeah. On those three, we've just given examples of where we're moving forward across getting the right data visible and available, and then ultimately getting it so you can drive to decisions that are useful.
I just really love this analytics for everyone bit. I mean, analytics can be intimidating, and it just seems like we've made it really easy to not only combine external with internal, but take action directly within ServiceNow to do that. So I commend you. That's just a fantastic job on moving performance analytics forward for our audience.
But wait, there's more.
There's more. Okay.
Exactly.
So
yeah, it may be helpful for people to just kind of visualize where we fit in the cloud stack that is ServiceNow. So you see the yellow circle, that's performance analytics. We're kind of the first component of this set of analytic tools that you might want to understand your business better. And we get overlaid across the top each of those category areas. So we've talked about IT today, but security as well, customer service. Each of these comes with out-of-the-box dashboarding, and you see the tally there. So a number, 75 dashboards and hundreds of KPIs. It shouldn't be intimidating though, because each of those are basically our best practices to what you need in that category area, including your own custom apps as well.
they're kind of purpose-built analytics for each of these domains, as it were.
Very much so.
Well, Shane, it's amazing all the great new stuff that's coming in IT.
It really is, and hopefully you can see, we're really making it our goal to put IT in the driver's seat for business transformation.
Oh, absolutely, and while we've been solving challenges for our IT customers for a long time, and we continue to innovate, but we're also innovating in other areas as well, aren't we?
Of course. So in this next segment, I would look for three things: security, customer service, and HR. For security, we're helping our customers resolve real security threats fast. We're making customer service a team sport. And for HR, it's all about consumerizing the employee service experience.
Fantastic. So in a moment, we're going to find out about the great new capabilities in customer service management and HR. But first, let's have a look at what's new in security and governance, risk and compliance. And don't forget to keep those questions coming.
Hi, my name's Harold Young, and I'm with the ServiceNow Security Operations Product Management Group. And today we're going to talk about a new application in Jakarta called the Trusted Security Circles. As you can see, it's part of the overall security operations portfolio, which includes security incident response, vulnerability response, and threat intelligence. And ultimately, this product portfolio is designed to help security teams respond to attacks faster in the most optimal fashion possible. So with Trusted Security Circles, what we've ultimately facilitated is a method for organizations to confirm threat as a part of their overall incident response process, and then anonymously share it across what we call Trusted Security Circles, or a circle or community of their peers. Again, this is an anonymous mechanism. It's a method for people to basically say, these are threats, these are attacks that we're seeing in our organization, and ultimately query other organizations to see whether or not other peers in the industry are also being hit with the same types of attacks. So this gives a customer the fast confirmation of threat and whether or not an incident is actually occurring, and then also this notion of internal and external prevalence to see, is this happening in other places as well? So let's take a look at what this actually looks like in the product. I'm going to switch into the product here. As you can see, this is one of our out-of-the-box dashboards. In the upper left-hand corner here, there's the time to identify, and in the middle, time to contain dashboards on how we're actually performing and trending. This is typically a CISO view to actually measure the overall performance of a security operations center and their incident response process. But more specifically, what we're doing with threat that becomes interesting is we're actually keying off of threat attackers and observables and indexing that across historical security incidents. So in this particular related list at the bottom, you'll see that there's a number of incidents that are indexing off the same file hash. Or in this particular table here, there's a number of configuration items. So you're looking for a loose correlation. Is this a common class of Windows 2012 R2 servers that serve a specific business application in a specific location? And why are those being attacked by the same observable or IP or URL? Or in the case of users, is it executives that are being spearphished, or is it a group of research scientists, or is it the entire global population? Again, that loose correlation helps the analyst make a faster call on what's actually going on. Now, if we look at this indicators of compromise set, you'll see the extracted observables as part of this incident. And what I'll do here is I'll click on the malware results tab, and what we've done is we've automatically looked up against multiple threat intelligence reputation sources. So VirusTotal, MetaDefender, Recorded Future, Palo Alto Networks WildFire. And some of these have returned confirmation of malicious results. But what we've also done is we've automated the lookup into the organization's internal SIM or data lake. So if I look at this observable, you'll see two things here. First, you'll see internal sightings of 602, and you'll see external sightings of 2,879. Now, the interesting thing about this is telling us, A, this threat observable is present in our own infrastructure, but it also is telling us that a party outside of our organization has also seen it. So it means that it's also present in the wild. Now, if all of these were zeros across multiple peering organizations, that might mean that this is a false positive or a targeted attack against our organization. So again, that notion of internal and external prevalence that helps accelerate the view. If I click into this, you can quickly see that there's some hits in our Elastic Security data lake. There's also those external hits from our peers. And if needed, we could click straight into the link to rerun this query and see the raw data. So we're not replacing the SIM, we're just augmenting and providing you with context to make a faster decision. Now let's take a look at the actual sharing aspect of this. When I go into here, you can see that what we've done is we've initiated a threat share with another organization or globally across our peering network. And you'll see that this instance is SecOps Demo J, and I'm going to switch to our peering organization, which is originally named SecOps Demo J2. And so you can see here that this is a Demo J2 environment, and this threat share came across from our peering organization, and when I click into it, I see that same set of observables has actually been sent over to us for querying in our own organization. So again, an anonymized mechanism of sharing that threat intelligence and establishing a community. And so what we're ultimately working to deliver using this technology is a set of predictive analytics, velocity tracking on threat as it moves around the world, but it allows you, the customer, the ability to, again, anonymously share this across your own community or industry peers. So new application in Jakarta, pretty exciting for us. It's definitely a step that extends our threat intelligence capabilities. That kind of wraps it up for the Jakarta Security Operations feature. Let's transition into what's new in our GRC product portfolio, which is a new module called Vendor Risk Management. So as some of you may be aware, we already have some existing applications within the GRC portfolio. There's the policy and compliance management, risk management, and audit management applications. With Jakarta, we're again introducing the vendor risk management application, which is really designed to help organizations assess their third-party supplier network for risk. And the reason that this has actually become a lot more important across a number of different industries is that third-party suppliers in more recent history have become an entry point for a number of the most prevalent breaches in recent history. So if you think of some of the more recent hacks that have occurred that have been public, roughly a little over a third of them have had their entry point from a third-party supplier network. So it's a critical need for a lot of our organizations, a lot of our customers that are doing business with thousands or tens of thousands of suppliers. The new vendor risk module really helps organizations automate and accelerate their assessment of a third-party vendor that they do business with for risk. It really accelerates the onboarding experience in terms of how quickly they can respond to a business unit that wants to conduct business with a new supplier. And it ultimately also scores the vendor set from a risk perspective, so you get a sense of who the riskiest vendors are or what categories of vendors are more risky for your organization based on the nature of their business and their overall risk profile. So let's take a look in the product and see what this actually looks like. I'm going to switch into ServiceNow, and you'll see things from both the ServiceNow customer side, meaning your perspective, as well as your third-party supplier's perspective as well in this demo. So here we have a fictitious vendor called WorkFlash that we have a vendor record for. We basically have created a vendor register for all of your third-party suppliers. You can identify the business owner, you can identify the business services that an organization, that the supplier is engaged with within your organization. You have a view of all their contacts within the third-party supplier as well. And then we have this notion of assessments. And there are recurring assessments, which could be an annual or quarterly thing, or it could be a one-time assessment. And a one-time assessment, or a recurring assessment actually, is a bucket of questions and a bucket of document requests. And so the bucket of questions is delivered to our vendors using our survey designer. And so many of you may be familiar with this, but ServiceNow has a drag and drop survey designer. And so if I wanted to, I can basically create survey questions on the fly, and we'll just say, how risky are you, right? I mean, that's obviously a made up question, but there's basically a number of different options that we can use to create these either custom questions, or we also have out-of-the-box licensed content, particularly the shared information group assessments, which are licensed out of the box, which you can distribute to your vendors. So when I submit this information to a vendor, what's going to happen is they're going to come into our service portal. And the service portal is basically a view of what assessments have been assigned to that specific vendor. And the vendor manager can manage their team. They can assign different individuals to different aspects, or they may be responsible for different questionnaire sections. And if I click into the actual assessment request, what we'll see is basically how that survey is exposed to the vendor. And so the vendor may say, more info here. They may pick different sections. Or if they actually have an Excel spreadsheet version of this, they can actually just click import and actually upload this to the solution. We automatically parse the answers. So there's a number of different ways that they can interact with the solution. And so what ultimately happens is we're going to save this particular assessment. I'm going to go back to it, and I'm actually going to submit this. And so now that I've submitted this to ServiceNow, when I go back into the ServiceNow customer view, which is your view, I'm going to go into this particular vendor, and I'm going to look at the vendor responses. And you'll see that I have responses received, and I'm going to click into this particular assessment. And you'll see that what we've got is the ability for us to click straight into the survey and view what the vendor has actually responded to us. And here I could start making answers, need to follow up on this, and I could choose to mark it for follow-up. I can easily pivot on incorrect answers or just show ones that need follow-ups. And so there's a kind of a triage or processing mechanism that's built into the vendor risk assessment process. And then switching hats back to the vendor, once I've responded to the vendor, they'll get a set of open issues and tasks. And so their interface to us as their customer basically becomes this interaction module where they'll see a set of comments back to them as the vendor, and they have the ability to say, hey, working on this, right, due date, end of July. And basically this becomes the interaction model for how you can quickly assess your vendors for risk and accelerate that overall process, which typically takes 6 to 8 weeks on a per vendor basis. And so we're really helping organizations compress that time. And then the way this ultimately gets yielded out to you, the ServiceNow customer, is in the form of an overall risk scoring mechanism. So we score those responses from the vendors. We provide you with a view based on different risk bands and insufficient answers, how well they actually scored against what you think is important from a vendor risk perspective, and then we'll bucket them into these risk tranches, and that's effectively what you're seeing here from a critical high, medium, low perspective.
Hello, I'm Paul Selby. I'm joined today by Venki Subramanian. We're part of the customer service management team here at ServiceNow, and we'd like to take you through some of the exciting new features that are coming in Jakarta for customer service management. So customer service management is built on the platform that ServiceNow provides. And what makes our product a little bit different from some of our competitors is the service management approach we take to customer service. Rather than having customers call in repetitively, giving them one-off answers, a service management approach means that customer service engages with other parts of your organization and they develop a solution that's permanent and turns customer service into a team sport. When we talk about customer service, it's really a new way to deliver customer service. And it's a means that's effortless, connected, and proactive. So what exactly do we mean by all that? Well, for effortless, that means that customers can find answers quickly and easily. When service is connected, customer service is not an island all by itself doing its own thing. It's actually engaging with other parts of your organization and driving permanent solutions. And finally, with proactive service, when you see a trend or an issue developing, you can develop that solution and deliver it to customers, sometimes before they're even aware it might happen to them. So now let's move into all of these new features, starting with effortless. New to Jakarta is Communities. And Communities provides your end customers with the ability to go online and engage with peers and other experts and personalize your experience. And with that personalized experience, you're able to find solutions to problems and find answers that might not currently exist, but exist out in that community. Why is this valuable to companies? Well, companies can take that information and gain new insights into how customers are using their products and also the types of problems that they're having. Venki, I think you have a demo for us, don't you?
Yeah, absolutely. Excited to show you the new communities. So here, if you look at my screen, you will see that I've logged in as George Warren, a customer of Acme Corporation. And George is looking at his unified self-service portal. So along with all the other options like knowledge or ability to get help, George also has access to communities now. So when he goes to the community homepage, you can see that he has access to a number of different forums or topics that he can choose to subscribe. If he chooses to follow a specific forum, for example, network management, something that he's interested in, he can choose to do so by just clicking into that and subscribing to that forum. When he subscribes it, now he is kept up to date about all the activities that are happening in that forum. George also has the ability to maintain a community profile where he can maintain information about himself that might be useful for other people to know about him and discover him and connect with him. He can also manage his notification settings right here, where he can decide what updates does he want to be notified about. So he can set up those notification preferences very easily right here. Now, what all of this is doing is it's providing a very personalized experience. So when he goes to the community the next time after he's subscribed to his forums and all of that, he gets an activity feed right here that contains all the updates, all the important information that he's supposed to see based on the forums or topics that he has subscribed to based on his notification preferences. So this is a truly personalized experience. Moving on, when George actually has a question about a certain topic, for example, he wants to know how to set up routers, port security, or some issue with that, he can actually search the community forum and he also sees other questions that other people have already asked, or he can ask a new question to the community and get help from his peers. If he chooses to go into the specific question, for example, he also sees that Rick had asked a question about network port security, which is exactly the issue that he's running into, and Eileen, another community user, has already answered this. Not just that, this answer has been found helpful and has been marked as an accepted solution. So if George tries it and if he finds it helpful, he can also go back here and mark this answer as helpful. This is generating authenticated and validated content in the community that is helping everyone, Now, one more thing that I want to show you is how the company can leverage all these insights. So when the company sees all this information, all these activities are tracked in the system. So they can identify the top contributors in the community, they can identify content that is frequently accessed by other community members and leverage this information. For example, they can engage with these top contributors and convert them into advocates and make them more engaged in the community.
Wow, so communities, big addition to customer
Absolutely.
service management in the effortless category. But there's more, isn't there?
Absolutely. So sticking with the theme of community, I want to talk about knowledge management. Now, this is a functionality that is leveraged not just by customer service, but by all other customers of ServiceNow. So we are providing in this release a brand new service portal-based knowledge experience. So we can now allow our customers to easily set up how knowledge is displayed on the portal. There are faceted search experiences that are available that are easily configurable. So customers can decide what information to be exposed so that they can be searched on easily and how the knowledge can be sorted and provided to end users. Not only that, we're also supporting knowledge article versioning in this release. So articles can be versioned to provide continuous update on the same content. We are also supporting subscriptions on knowledge base level as well as knowledge article level. So customers can subscribe to knowledge bases or articles so that they are updated proactively when there is an update to the content.
Okay, so that rounds out our effortless category. Let's move into connected. What can you show us there, Venki?
Sure. So delivering great customer service, part of it is about accessing the right information, having access to the right information. So as you can see here, we are introducing a team calendar which allows customer service and field service managers to actually keep track of all the pre-scheduled activities for their team members in a calendar view. This information can now be utilized to assign the right work to the right person. Sticking to the same theme, if you move to field service, for example, we are introducing dynamic scheduling. What this does is this allows for optimal assignment of tasks to the right technician based on changing conditions. So for example, if a technician were to run late or a new high priority task shows up, dynamic scheduling is able to automatically reassign the work so that the work gets done at the right time. We are also introducing several other capabilities in field service like questionnaires, time recording, new manager capability for field service managers, as well as enhancements to mobile interfaces like a mobile calendar and several other features.
Great, thank you, Venki. So let's move into our last category, proactive. I got to admit, this is an interesting category for me when I saw what's coming. I used to run a call center a long time ago, and one of the greatest challenges I had was understanding what was costing me the most money to support.
Yeah, and we have heard that several times from our customers. Service leaders want insights into how the cost is being spread within their organization and answer questions like which product or which customer is costing them more to support. So by integrating customer service and field service management to IT business management, financial management, cost transparency product, for those customers who already have access to it, now they have the ability to look at their customer service information and overlay the cost information with it and answer questions like, where is my cost? What is costing me more to support?
All right, so to recap, we covered the new features in the effortless, connected, and proactive categories. For effortless, we have communities. We've also got several enhancements to knowledge management, including search, article versioning, and subscriptions. In the category of connected, we've got dynamic scheduling, the team calendar, as well as improvements in the mobile interface like questionnaires and the calendar. And then finally, tying it all together with proactive, we have new insights into things that are costing the service center more with the integration with cost transparency.
Hi, I'm Mike Villamick, Head of Product Marketing for the HR product line.
And I'm Samantha Barth, a product manager with the HR product.
We're going to spend the next few minutes talking about what's new in Jakarta for the HR product. Now there's lots to talk about, but the piece that I'm most excited about is our newest application, Enterprise Onboarding and Transitions. We consistently heard from our own customer base and the broader HR market that new hire onboarding is one of those work processes that has all the characteristics of being broken. It's inefficient for HR, causes headaches and backups within other departments like IT and facilities, and really provides those new hires not the greatest employee service experience. And it's not just onboarding. There's a number of employee lifecycle events that start in HR, but have dependencies and require action from other departments like IT and facilities. Processes like offboarding, leave of absence, global transfers, they're all ripe with inefficiencies, costing time, money, and really frustrating employees. This new application enables HR to set up and manage onboarding and these other employee lifecycle events and set them up across multiple departments, all on a single service delivery platform. It's really unlike anything in the market. It's very unique. And it's unlike anything in the market for a few reasons. One, it allows organizations to provide their employees a truly consumerized service experience. So employees get access to the information they need to make choices throughout the process. They're guided step by step so they know exactly what to do next. And if they do need help, they can easily get that high-touch help right from within the application, right from within the process. Second, it allows HR to drive these processes and drive action to support them across multiple departments. And third, it allows HR to build these processes, set them up, manage them, modify them literally in minutes without having to do any complex workflow editing or even coding. So Samantha, why don't we show everyone what this new application looks like through the eyes of a new hire. We'll call him Tim.
Sure. Tim also is going to have access to the Employee Service Center like anyone else, but because he is in that stage of pre-employment, Tim's view of the Service Center is going to be catered to a future employee. Now, Tim has this lovely branded interface, but all of the content is personalized, it's relevant, so Tim begins to be engaged in both the work and the culture before he starts employment. He might be curious about things like perhaps upcoming events.
So right off the bat, this feels like a very consumer-like experience.
Indeed. And while this does a lot more than help Tim fill out his new hire paperwork, it also will help him look at his to-do list and his tasks and make sure that everything is completed. And he'll see at a glance the summary and the details about what is going on each task.
So right away, he can see that there's a task that's actually overdue.
There is. So let's open his list of tasks, and what we'll see is that Tim has a non-disclosure agreement that should have been signed by now. Right from within the solution, he can take care of signing this document electronically. And what's really nice for Tim is that the solution is helping him out by filling in information it already knew. So it's simple, it's easy, it's fast. And if Tim does have questions for someone within the organization, he can ask them right within the solution. So the HR person or legal person, whomever is the appropriate expert, is actually going to be the one that is assigned the task to answer Tim's question. Now, once he's taken care of that overdue task, he can move on to things like setting up his direct deposit. And as he opens the task, relevant knowledge base articles are presented to Tim in real time, which help him understand policies, procedures, things that might be important to know as he takes care of business. And one more thing, we've got the ability to select Tim's fancy new iPhone or order his computer. This could also have been assigned to Tim's manager or someone else appropriate in the organization. But what we're doing here is embedding ServiceNow's IT order guide right within onboarding. So it's going to ensure that Tim is ready to begin work on day one.
So this is great. This really shows how we can drive these processes across different departments, for this example, within IT. But we can also do it in other departments, like facilities, if we wanted to have Tim select where, a new cubicle or which office he's going to sit in.
Indeed. And imagine on day one, Tim is going to have a desk set up and ready for him. He's going to have all the equipment he needs to do his job. He's going to be ready to start work right away.
Awesome, thanks Samantha. Seeing this really makes me wish I had this kind of experience in some of the onboarding I had in my previous roles.
Me too.
So in addition to this new application, we also made a number of enhancements to our existing applications. The first one is we're adding a new migration plugin to help customers get from our non-scoped version to our scoped version of our product. You'll recall back in Istanbul, we launched a scoped version of our product. Now, in addition to providing a number of security enhancements, that's where all of the future functionality is going to be in our scoped version. So customers are going to eventually want to move to that product. And this new migration tool makes that process much, much easier. We also brought out bulk case creation. So HR often has to create the same case for multiple employees for situations like a payroll run issue or annual recertification. Now, typically, they would have to go and create those cases individually for every employee, which is very time consuming. With bulk case creation, they can now go in and create the same case for multiple sets of employees, all with one action, saving a tremendous amount of time. And finally, we actually are making it much easier for HR to get employees to return and fill out signed documents. Again, prior to this, the process was typically to email out a document. Employees would have to print them out, fill them out, sign them, scan it, send it back. Very time consuming and very costly if you start multiplying that process across thousands of employees. So with Jakarta, HR can now create these editable, personalized PDF documents that have the employee's information already pre-populated in and support for electronic signatures. So employees can simply sign the document within the application, making it much easier for HR and much easier for the employees.
Welcome back, everybody. So Shane, we're right at the end of an amazing show. Can you give us a quick recap?
Quick recap. Wow, let me give it a shot. So we just finished talking about what's new in cloud services for security, customer service, and HR. So examples are applications like Trusted Security Circles, where we're making sure that the security analyst is no longer alone in his fight against cyber threats, where the customer service team can provide a community to their customers where they can engage with experts and peers. And in HR, where the HR teams can give new employees the onboarding experience that they really deserve. Before that, we talked about great innovations in IT, all tied to the intelligent automation engine, and even platform enhancements like user experience and performance.
Fantastic. Well, there's some incredible value there for our customers. What should they be doing next?
So there's a few things. If you want all this, you upgrade to Jakarta, so you can do that on high. If you need more information, there's great resources on ServiceNow.com, and I would go to the ServiceNow community, and you can engage in all the knowledge content there.
Fantastic. Shane, always a pleasure having you on the show, and thanks so much for helping to navigate the new developments in Jakarta.
Thanks, Brian. It's always fun.
So there you have it. It's time to upgrade to Jakarta and take advantage of the 7 new applications and more than 30 major enhancements to help you work at light speed. So with that, I want to thank you for watching, and I'll see you in Kingston.